Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Daisy Whitney. I'm a senior content producer at AdTech, and I love seeing so many faces at the end of the day, especially at the end of the second day. I've had a lot of you. How many of you have been to the other Startup Spotlight sessions? Yeah, I knew you had been, Jim. I mean, I'm so glad that we've got some repeat folks here. I'm just going to very briefly tell you about the Startup Spotlight series, and then I'm going to start bringing our companies up on stage so you can get to hear from them. What we really wanted to do at AdTech, this is the first year we've done this programming track, is we really wanted to use AdTech as a venue to introduce some of the new and emerging companies, the companies that have technology, products, and services that brands, agencies, and advertisers are going to want to be working with, that are going to want to be putting on their media plan. We basically said, how can we help surface, who will be the next Foursquare, who will be the next Twitter, and you can say, oh, we heard that company present, way back at, AdTech 2011 and got to know them then. That's what we're aiming to do here. So we had a tremendous vetting process in January and February. I worked with my advisory board specifically for this, wonderful, seasoned veterans at agencies, at publications, at technology companies here today judging this session. I have three of them. I have Marshall Kirkpatrick with Read Write Web. I have Mark Ruxin with McCann Erickson, and I have David Bloom, technology expert and consultant. And the companies that I have today are, and this is for social, I'm just reading off of my list so I don't botch any of this by mistake, but I have trueAnthem, Klout, GetGlue, and Adaptly. I'm not going to tell you about them. I'm going to let them tell their story. But basically, the important thing is, we went through probably 100, more than 100 different companies. The advisory board, AdTech folks, voted on, who they thought were the most worthy. So the companies that you're hearing from today are essentially like the finalists, kind of made the playoffs. And the great thing is the judges are going to ask each of them questions after their presentations to get to know them a little bit better. And then at the end, so you definitely want to stick around through the whole thing. The judges will confer and will actually present an award today, our AdTech Innovation Award in the social media category. I am going to invite Sarah Fay to come up on stage, and she is going to tell you about trueAnthem. The one thing that I asked all of the presenters to do is not just share a little bit about their company, but also to show specifically what their company could do with a $500,000 marketing budget for an existing brand. So you can really get a sense of how they'll work today. So go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Daisy, and hello, everyone. Hello, judges. My name is Sarah Fay, and I actually sit on the board of trueAnthem. The founders and managers would have been here today, except they're executing some very big programs, which is all exciting. We hope you'll hear about it soon. But I was honored to be asked to step in and present trueAnthem, which offers consumer activation and measured impact at scale across the web. Can I just ask for a show of hands? How many of you are already familiar with the paid, owned, and earned media construct? Okay, I think most of you, so I'm not going to get into it, but I just want to make the point that this is what trueAnthem has addressed, and they incorporate paid, owned, and earned into their model so they can get you to that earned media really quickly and show you what you've got. So Eric Schmidt said in 2015, 75% of ads on the web will be social in nature. That's it. Advertising should be shareable, and it should also be rich and good enough that people want to share it. And this is what trueAnthem is making possible. We'll look at the social activation tool, which is actually a unit that lives anywhere on the web. So it can be in paid advertisements, standard IAB units. It can live on websites. It can live in social spaces. It can show up in the Facebook news feed. And wherever it is, it can be shared. The main part of the unit is basically an open canvas for any kind of message. At the bottom, you have what is basically a standard banner that will click through to the brand's website. And the content tabs are fully customizable. You can put any kind of content into the tabs. And these are just some basic examples. And the share button allows this unit to be shared. So as people listen to the content or see the content within the unit, they can then share it into their social graphs and spaces. And we actually have the Facebook Connect tab as well that makes it easy for them to do without leaving the page, without leaving the unit. So it's super easy, and they can share the whole unit or specific pieces of content from within the unit. So it's a very shareable unit. This is how trueAnthem addresses paid, owned, and earned. So, and this is one of the most important things I have to say. The trueAnthem unit goes into your paid media. This is how we get to volume and critical mass quickly. Most social programs fall down because they begin at the grassroots level and they never leave the grassroots level, and they don't get to a point where they move the needle. So it can move the needle because timing based, you control the volume. So it goes into the paid content. We actually incorporate users or influencers into the program, and we got into their social spaces. It lives in owned areas of content like the brand website, the brand microsite, their email lists, and their social spaces. And this is what kickstarts all of the sharing that goes on. That results in the earned media. Now, another word for earned media, free media, right? That's where you get a lot of value. And a lot of brands are after this today, but the big unanswered question is how much free media am I getting? How much earned media am I getting? And how is it happening? How is the message getting passed from place to place? Who am I reaching? And that's part of what trueAnthem delivers as well. So you get your basic campaign measures like impressions, uniques, engagements, clicks, all of the things that you would get from a normal campaign. But trueAnthem also offers a social genome, which shows what happens with the viral spread of your message. So they can show you specifically what the pass-along rates look like, the breadth and depth of sharing, how many communities is it crossing, how deep into communities is it going, the velocity of spread, who are your most influential spreaders, what are the demographics, what are the geographics. And we can also deliver true insights like awareness and how are you moving your brand metrics, how are you affecting brand impact and brand uptake over time. This is a simplified version of what the genome looks like. So you can see that as your message starts to spread, which geographic areas it's making it into. And if you look at like the big circles, those communities and those audiences originated with one person. And if you click into them, you can see who else within that community is doing a lot of spreading and really get to that. You can also see exactly where those influencers came from, whether it was paid media, whether it was influencers, which paid media, and which influencers. And this is really helpful when developing iterative programs and improving on your social sharing. So addressing the program that Daisy asked us to create, to spend $500,000 on developing a program for a major brand, we chose the HTC Evo, which is a great type of product for this type of program. It is a multimedia smartphone. It's designed for people who love to listen and watch video. It's a very fast phone. It's a great product. It's getting great reviews, but it's a Sprint-only phone. So we have to reach either Sprint users or people who have the power to change their program to Sprint, which is somewhat of a challenge. But we decided that our target audience was passionate indie music fans age 18 to 30. We want passionate, obviously, because we want people who are excited to share things. Indie, because indie is a digital forward genre of music. The fans and the bands reflect that. Music fans, because music is social, music is shareable, and it's also an easy thing for a brand to take and design content arrangements. It's also affordable. and age 18 to 30, so we can avoid those kids who can't affect their programs. So what we'll do is we will take the HTC Evo brand content, and we're going to do a deal with 10 to 15 indie bands and take their music, content, and videos and incorporate it into the player. We're going to take $250,000 of that $500,000 and spend it in paid media targeting indie fans. We're going to also take the player and put it into the band's social spaces, because they've got big web followings. We're going to take it and we're going to put it in the website, the microsite, and the brand social spaces as well. And this is what's going to start to generate the sharing. Now, let's look at the earned media again. What we're betting, of course, is that we're going to get at least $250,000 worth of impressions that we would have gotten, because if we didn't get that, then why wouldn't we just buy more media? But we're betting we're going to get a lot more than that. So our results from past campaigns show we can get at least 2 times the value. We know we can promise 2 times the value of the media dollars we would have spent. But we think that if these programs are done right, and it all has to do with the content and the brand, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, we have seen as much as 10 times better results than paid programs. That is a program that can really move the needle. That's something that you can have true ownership of, in terms of moving these results. And that is what trueAnthem delivers. As well, again, with the measurement and reporting, you're going to know exactly what you got and be able to report on that. So that's how trueAnthem delivers consumer activation and measured impact at scale across the web.
All right, so now our judges get to quiz you, Sarah.
Oh.
That means you,
I guess we should leave.
What?
All right, drinks on me.
Yeah, my mic's not even on. Nothing's working, people. The judges are going to ask Sarah some questions now, and I am going to ask Joe from Klout if you want to go ahead and just switch over and set up your computer while they quiz Sarah. I don't know. Can the audience see Sarah? Is it better if she moves? Yeah, there. That's a little bit better.
Hidden.
Okay.
So just to clarify, again, I find myself hobbled by being with such brilliant co-judges. These are essentially little widget tools that you've got a message wrapped around. And I'm just curious, can you give me any kind of number about why that's a better approach than the 6,000 other things that we've seen as judges these last couple of days? Why that widget, that object that gets carried around becomes a more compelling way to share things?
Well, I think there are a lot of widgets out there that promote sharing, but none of them can actually tell you what the sharing looks like. So you make the same bet when you have a great widget that you put out there. And certainly I think that there's a lot of value that those provide. I do think that the secret sauce that trueAnthem offers is the genome that shows what the viral sharing is. Part of it is, obviously having the right kind of content and making actual ad units.
Speak in the mic so everybody else can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Making the actual ad units shareable. So widgets are shareable, obviously, but they don't sit within paid media.
Right. Now, the genome part you talked about, we saw a map with circles and lines and all that. Is that actually something like the dashboard that you create? Or that's just an image?
Yes. Okay. Sure. I'm sorry. Is this on? So what was the question again? The genome, the dashboard, the visuals that I showed you? Yes, those are visuals that you can get as part of the reporting. That was a simplified version. It didn't show as many bubbles as there would be. But you can actually, the way the bubbles work is when you click on a bubble, you see lots more little bubbles, and they're all connected to each other. So you can really understand, you can actually zero in and get to the communities that are the most passionate and active around the program.
So my question is more around, so of the $500,000 you wanted $250 to go do your own paid media buy, why wouldn't you just leverage the tonnage that's in the marketplace? If this is such a good mousetrap, why wouldn't you just piggyback on the tonnage that's in the marketplace and then drive back to whatever the social hubs are? What's the, like, is it that the plan wouldn't have been as sophisticated or nuanced towards indie or whatever?
Really, the plan assumes there is going to be a paid media buy anyway. So you could, but you insert this the shareability, the unit that has shareability into the display. You know, I heard Shiv Singh from PepsiCo make a presentation, and he said one of my big challenges is making display media work harder. I know I need display because I need that volume, I need that critical mass, but how can I actually get better results? This gets you better results because it harnesses the power of the consumer and gets them sharing right out of the display unit. When you think about paid, owned, and earned, too, paid is usually used to drive to owned, which only a portion of people are going to go to, which then becomes earned. In this, the owned portion goes right into the paid, so you kind of skip a process in the step and can just interact and share directly from the ad unit. When you think about buying millions and millions of impressions, you know, that's going to get you more earned media than a two-step process. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Joe, tell us about Klout.
Hey everybody, my name's Joe. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Klout. We are the standard for measuring influence on the social web. So we work with a bunch of brands and a bunch of companies use our data to understand how influential every person they interact with. We take data from Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, adding more and more services. Generally, like, you can go to Klout.com, get your own score. What's happened is brands started coming to us and wanting to connect with people influential on specific topics. Everything we do has a topic and a geo relevance. So we can say, these are the most influential people about fashion or sports or whatever the topic might be. Here's just kind of an example of an influencer. The Klout score is a 1 to 100 score. And for us, influence is all about a person's ability to drive action. So when they share something on Facebook or they tweet or whatever they might do, what happens? Are people liking it, retweeting, commenting, clicking the links? How are people engaging with that content? And how influential are those people doing that engagement? So, you know, having Robert Scoble or something interact with you or Marshall interact with you is way more... way better than me. You can see the bottom little 4 square there. We do some analysis on what type of user somebody is. So Rick here is a thought leader. Somebody else might be a curator, meaning they just share a lot of content. Somebody might be a conversationalist. That's really important when you think about targeting users. I'm going to walk through kind of an example from an influencer standpoint more than a brand standpoint in terms of thinking about travel and how some money might be spent. It's I don't follow directions maybe well, so it's going to be a little different in the sense because we don't when we go out to market, we don't actually think about we're here to help brands figure out how influential people are. We actually care a lot about helping people understand their influence and leverage it in interesting ways. So we did a campaign last year with Virgin America. They were opening a new route between Toronto and San Francisco, and they wanted to put people in seats. And they wanted to introduce it to influencers. So we helped target people that were influential about travel. We actually invite them. The invitation comes from Klout and says, hey, because you're so influential on this topic, Virgin or some airline wants to invite you to participate in this flight. When you think about how we all kind of process information and what we care about, it's the word of mouth from our friends. It's not it's not all the just advertising in general that kind of is constantly coming at us. We want to know what our friends think, and by putting people in there who can tell that story for us and let them experience. And we always say, hey, say whatever you want about this. Say you love it, say you hate it. You can say nothing. The bet we make is we know these people talk about this topic. We know when they talk about it, their network responds. So if we put them in the right situation, we'll see interesting results. The way our campaign works is airline comes to us, we figure out a geography, some topics, like might be travel, might be sports if they're going to a sporting event or whatever it might be. We invite them. The influencer then engages with the brand on Klout.com, but also starts spreading the message around their whatever they did with the brand to their followers, and we measure the interactions from there. This is kind of a typical campaign for us. We would invite like 400 people. The average interactions will be about 8 pieces of content created for every person in the campaign. Here it just says tweets, but this also spreads on the Facebook and YouTube and Flickr, and we're hitting the most passionate people who just will create a lot of content, drive a lot of interactions. The 15,000 total tweets is all the retweets, all the replies, all the conversation that's generated from this 400 people. So from the 400 people, each tweeting 8 times, all the interactions from those tweets, we end up with over 15,000 tweets. Fuzzy math always on impressions in social media, but we can talk about upwards of 35 million impressions. Cool thing though is, as an influencer, you travel, you got your plane ticket, you talked about that, now you land at your hotel. We have 2,000 companies using our data for all sorts of things. Some of those are hotels who have actually taken Klout data and built it into their reservation system. So you check into the hotel, they're hitting us to tell them how influential you are, and they're maybe upgrading your room or sending you to a show. And I think advertising is a lot more than just kind of what we think of as advertising in terms of like display and things like that. It's customer service, it's engagement, it's proactiveness. So putting these people who have network value, putting them in a scenario where they can tell this story is really interesting. It then goes to, you're on this trip, you've got the great hotel now, but you have rental car trouble. You start tweeting about it, and through tools, some of our partners like Hootsuite or CoTweet, representatives are seeing what your issue is and can prioritize how to respond. We always say everyone deserves good customer service, but the truth is, we're all segmented every day by every marketer. Knowing how impactful somebody is helps you, does a manager need to jump in on this? What needs to happen? I actually, just a few weeks ago, got bumped from a Delta flight and emailed and called and got nowhere with help, and finally tweeted about it and got a reply that we didn't realize how much Klout you are, how much Klout you have, and that you're the CEO of Klout, and they fixed my ticket. So companies are looking at this stuff, and companies are using it in hotels, and companies are using it to fill planes. You go to dinner, and there's services like Local Response taking our data, and when you check in on Foursquare, telling the restaurant, like, you have an influencer here, and maybe you should bring, maybe the chef should come out and say something, or bring out a round of drinks. And again, these are the people who can unlock new markets, tell the story, get the word out, and developing a relationship with them, really engaging, is powerful. Again, more customer service. You do a great job. Somebody's talking about how much they love the brand. This is advertising. And we actually measure influence between each relationship, so we can say, Jessica here is influencing these specific people. Maybe it's a great time to do a follow-up campaign against this network, because we can target them with some sort of display advertising or other social advertising to take advantage of these conversations going on. I'm going to leave you just with kind of the 3 points. And word of mouth is just such a powerful form of advertising. With social, for the first time, it's scalable and it's measurable. As a company, Klout, we know who the people are that you want talking about you. And if you think about advertising from the standpoint of customer service, engagement, interactions, and these influencers who can tell the story for you with the trust that their network has in them, there's a big opportunity here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Let's start the questions with Marshall. And Alex, if you want to go ahead and set up while the judges are quizzing him, that would be great.
So I've got lots of questions about Klout. But I use the browser plugin now, and it certainly has infiltrated my brain. But in seeing the way that other people, that users, talk about the service, I hear a lot of frustrated people who say that it's quantified a qualitative relationship, but that it's done so through a black box, and that those numbers don't change in response to their behavioral changes, even after the recent assurance that numbers were changing more often. I feel like people are frustrated, and there's something about the product where, like, consumers that say they really like it and that they like their Klout, I mean, that seems like kind of it would be a weird antisocial thing to say, to brag about,
to
right?
brag about your Klout, I mean, we have a new site coming out tomorrow night.
What's it called?
Klout, new version of Klout. So some of those algorithms, again, constantly iterating against those things. Continuous improvement is kind of our goal. In terms of frustration against, like, transparency and things, we actually list, like, all the factors in the score, and it's an area that, the only thing we don't really talk about are, like, the weights of how we weight different things, and they kind of, it's a model-based approach, and it's always changing. It's an area we're putting more effort into, though, in building that. And in terms of talking about how cool you are, or how much clout you have, or how rich you are, or anything is always a socially awkward thing and not necessarily the best behavior. But the reality is that, this is an attention economy. A person's ability to drive their message through social media, regardless of how much they talk about their Klout score, is valuable. And I don't know if there was, like, a specific question or it was just broad statements you had, but.
Thanks. Mark, David?
So I'm not going to argue with the methodology behind the algorithm. I think the question is, I think there's infinite brand dollars available to influence influencers. And the more targeted you can get on influencers, the smaller the audience becomes in some ways. So that's kind of like the opposite of what you want if you're trying to build a media network. But the examples that you use were really, Klout to business solutions. So what's the real vision for the company? Is it to have a media network around people that can help move, brand or product or perception, et cetera, or is it really around giving small businesses a way to identify, the people that are trying to transact or in the process with them?
So it's interesting where we are right now, because this problem of advertisers want to do things at scale, and putting 400 influencers on a flight isn't scale necessarily, but we're able to show that, like, if you think of traditional advertising as this funnel where you hit as many people as possible and a few trickle down at the bottom, and we've kind of gone the opposite route where we hit a few people at the bottom who have a bunch of authority around this topic and can influence their network and let them tell the story up, that it's really powerful. There's a big question, like, our challenge as a company is, can we transition from, like, interesting technology to meaningful company that can do this at scale? That's our goal to do, and we're putting a lot of work into figuring it out. But when I think about it, I think about like AdWords for people, and ability to pinpoint people across the web and let them connect in some way to an experience. So we're trying.
So what is your Klout score?
I don't know. Mine's dropping pretty hard, I think, right now, but getting grilled. 58, I think, today.
50. What's going on with that?
So we're launching a new site, and everyone in the office has been heads down. So when you're not creating content and not engaging with people, and the score refreshes every night, it drops. So
this is interesting because to me, what I'm fascinated by the ways this is bouncing through corporate America as a way to reach these guys, and the hotel upgrades and all that, fascinating to me. But it also begs a question, because now we've attached value to this. How do you keep people from gaming the system when you've got value in this process? It seems to me you're vulnerable. And I've read some interesting pieces about guys doing this and this, cutting down the number of people they're following in ratio to the number that are following them and things like that, and their score goes up. So I'm just curious about the potential for gaming and corrupting the system a bit, and what that does in terms of the long-term value of your company.
Right. So the second we start giving away plane tickets, or we did something with HP and we gave away laptops, and we've done hotel upgrades and all these things, the score becomes a currency, and people are motivated to do things to it. The way the score works, though, is a lot of the stuff I see and read isn't like where people guess what they're doing and what changes the score, isn't actually how it works. It actually works where it's impacted by how many people react to you and how influential those people are. So it's really hard, unless you get a big network of people to all coordinate together, to really move the score in a meaningful way. We haven't seen that really happen, and the algorithm's a living, breathing thing where we have a team of scientists every day staying up on it. It's the same issues Google and other companies that do some sort of ranking face.
Point being that Google's got a whole mess of PhDs laying around twiddling with that algorithm in an endless war with SEO guys to game that system. And I'm just curious if that's essentially what you're facing, because I suspect you don't have quite as many employees as Google does.
I'm just give you 10 seconds to answer that.
So
we need
not
to
as
move
many
on.
employees as Google, but much harder to manipulate people than it is pages. And we do have a team working on it every day.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for answering tough questions. Thank you, judges, for having them. Alex, tell us about GetGlue.
Well, I can start by saying that GetGlue's Klout score is awesome. So, Joe, I've got no complaints here. Thanks for having us. GetGlue is a social network for entertainment, and I'm Alex Iskold, founder and CEO. GetGlue enables people to check in and share what TV shows they're watching, what movies they're enjoying, what music they're currently listening to. GetGlue, based on your taste, can give you fresh recommendations every week for what new entertainment you may enjoy. And we've also partnered with major entertainment brands to reward fans for participating in the system. Today, actually, this morning, we've announced that we've crossed 1 million users on the service. So that's a great milestone for us as a company. And through check-ins and rewards that get unlocked on GetGlue, every day on Facebook and Twitter, we reach over 30 million people. And you can see how this factors into the influence and becomes a really interesting dynamic around promoting and advertising entertainment. So at the core of GetGlue, there is a very simple gesture that is very human, which is talking about entertainment and telling your friends what you're watching. So if I am a fan of Mad Men, it's compelling for me to talk about the show. Each one of us may watch just a few programs, but we're always passionate about what we consume. We want to talk about entertainment. So when I check in on GetGlue and I share this information with my friends, people who see this post on Facebook and Twitter and GetGlue always have some sort of a reaction to my check-in. They want to respond and kind of comment that they also love Mad Men or that Don Draper is a bad guy. But in any event, it's a human and warm kind of gesture to share what entertainment you're consuming. When you look at an aggregate of all these check-ins, it becomes a pretty powerful phenomenon. When tens of thousands of people check in at the beginning of Mad Men and these messages flow to Facebook and Twitter, you essentially get a really powerful wave of advertisements for the show. Even a single check-in is an ad, because even though I personally don't think of it this way, nor my friends, but in essence, by saying I'm watching Mad Men, I'm endorsing and marketing the show. But when you have tens of thousands of people doing it at the same time, it's a really powerful wave of check-ins sort of going into Facebook tweets, Facebook streams, Twitter streams, and becomes a really powerful call to tune in, call to action to your friends and followers to also watch the show. So these check-ins create bursts of activity on Facebook and Twitter that are timely. They're also trusted because they're coming from your friends, and they're also targeted because they don't show up in sidebars like other ads, but they actually show up in people's feeds, and that's pretty powerful. We've been working with over 50 major entertainment companies, over 30 major TV networks, all the familiar names, programs that you watch on TV, Fox, NBC, HBO, Showtime, Sony Pictures, Universal Pictures, major music labels, just to name a few partners. And we've been helping them reach and reward their fans on the service through an innovative mechanic that we created, which is a twist on the whole digital badges idea. And the twist is basically twofold. The badges are called stickers, and we literally ship physical stickers to people every month. You can order a fresh batch of 20 stickers that you earned on the service, and a lot of our users really enjoy that. It seems like a gimmick, but turns out people really like getting physical rewards in addition to digital. But more importantly, these stickers are authentic. We never make stickers that are unofficial. We always work with brands to represent them. And it's a really simple but powerful discovery that we've made, which is people want authentic stuff and brands want to be channeled. So if you want to really build an exchange between people and brands, you need to represent them correctly. So our users enjoy getting stickers from Glee. They love getting stickers from Dexter, True Blood, Ellen Show, Simpson, Conan, all of their favorites. And stickers are actually more clever than may seem at first. We use them to incentivize different check-in mechanics. So there are stickers that you can only unlock during specific episodes, and they're really exclusive. There's also stickers that you can unlock by checking in repetitively into the show. There are exclusive movie stickers if you check in during opening weekend. And there is also music stickers that unlock when band goes on tour. We've been creating some really interesting mechanics that incentivize different behaviors on the service. In addition to stickers, oftentimes we now able to provide additional rewards. For example, over 100 shows on GetGlue offer tiered discounts. So if you're a fan of the show, you get 10% off. If you're a super fan, you get 20% off. It becomes pretty cool. If you like the show and you want to buy a t-shirt, 20% off is interesting. And I think in the future, you'll see that it will get even more interesting. But what I want to do is I want to show you how we're going to use GetGlue to create a campaign for Pepsi brand and extend their campaign that they're already planning to do with X Factor, which is a new show launching in the fall. So you know that big brands spend tens of millions of dollars on TV advertising. And just to give you the big picture visual, what GetGlue is able to do is it's able to extend the reach of these campaigns into the social web. So while brand is reaching tens of millions of people on TV, we're going to help them reach tens of millions of people through the social channels and also on GetGlue, as well as direct marketing. So specifically, we're going to obviously help them reach passionate entertainment fans on GetGlue, 1 million of them. We're going to help them reach their friends and followers on Facebook and Twitter, which is, to date, is the most powerful medium. I think all of the social applications right now trying to promote stuff on Facebook and Twitter. Yesterday at EdTech, we announced a new technology from GetGlue, which allows people to check in from QR codes. It's a very cool tech, and I'll show you how that works. And we're also going to help them reach fans through direct mail by embedding Pepsi stickers along with the stickers that we send to our users every month. So just to lay out the basic of this campaign, there's 15 stickers that people can unlock, and this campaign spans 5 months. Some stickers unlock before the show even starts, and they're intending to promote the show. So there's a trailer sticker that you can get before the show starts if you're excited that the show is coming. There's an incredibly cool sticker, this one called Chicago, which actually is a sticker that you can check in with and shout what city you want to audition for the show for. And if you show up for an audition and show the sticker on your phone, you're going to jump the line. You're guaranteed an audition. And this is not a joke. This is really happening. And then, of course, there is an X Factor fan sticker, which you get by checking into 5 live episodes of the show. And then there's a finale one and a bunch of other ones. So think of all these stickers as dispersed over 5 months period of time. People can unlock them by doing different kinds of check-ins. So the first thing is, as people unlock the stickers, we're able to overlay Pepsi brand on top of X Factor brand right inside of the GetGlue. And if you think about what's happening with TV ads, that's exactly what people are doing. They want to be associated with specific content. So GetGlue is able to channel this idea right into the social entertainment network. So here you can see a visual of an X Factor sticker, and we're anticipating over 300,000 of these rewards unlocked over the course of the entire campaign. And it has actually a fun interactive component to it, so I have to peel it off to unveil the actual X Factor sticker. So this is very native to our service, creating a fun form of advertisement. So you peel off Pepsi to unveil the X Factor sticker you just earned. And beneath it, you also get a coupon, which is very contextual. Pepsi wants to target X Factor fans. Buy one, get one free. Second, and the biggest impact that we're able to make is by channeling Pepsi brand into Facebook and Twitter streams. So as each reward gets unlocked and shared by our users, you can see that we're channeling sponsored by Pepsi link into the Facebook feed. And this is pretty powerful because through GetGlue check-ins, we're going to be able to reach over 100 million people on Facebook and Twitter in the course of the entire campaign. And again, this is valuable because it links back to Pepsi Facebook page, so people can click through and go like Pepsi on Facebook, which is obviously one of the objectives of big brands, to be able to gain more Facebook likes and Twitter followers. This is the new thing that we just announced yesterday at AdTech, which is check-ins from physical posters, and you will also hopefully soon see them in magazines. This is taking QR code and turning it into a social ad and making QR codes not just basic sort of like units for getting to exclusive content, but really incentivizing fans to check in and unlock exclusive rewards. So the way that it works is it's a poster that people can use any QR code scanner to point to it, and then on the poster it says check in to unlock an exclusive reward. Super easy. You can check in through GetGlue and you unlock an exclusive reward not available anywhere else, perhaps some discount. We anticipate over 25,000 check-ins from physical posters. And lastly, a very fun way to embed Pepsi brand into the direct mail packages that we mail to our users every month. So this is actual GetGlue package that you get from us. It's very cool. It's like an envelope, and it has 20 stickers. And then you can see on the bottom there's some sponsored stickers from Pepsi, and each sticker has buy one, get one free coupon attached to it. So to sum up, this campaign, we're anticipating over 420,000 check-ins, 300,000 rewards, over 100 million people reached on Facebook and Twitter, 25,000 check-ins through QR codes, and 50,000 coupons sent through direct mail. So summary of this, we're able to take a simple idea like check-in and tie it together with live TV and take Pepsi brand, and at the same time that they're getting a lot of ads on TV, we're able to reach additional hundreds of millions of people on Facebook and Twitter, also through innovative campaigns like check-ins through QR codes and fun sticker packages that embed coupons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. All right, I want to make sure that Nikhil has enough time to do his presentation and you guys can get to know Adoptly. So I'm going to bring him up here, and I'm going to ask my judges to be relatively pithy in your questioning.
Alex, when's the iPad app coming out? Is there one?
When's the iPad app coming out?
We just launched new iPhone app, and we're in the process of polishing it for iPad, so it should be within a couple weeks.
You heard that here. May iPad launch. GetGlue.
So I think I spent a lot of my time convincing the CMOs of our clients that they need to be more focused on location and the social graph, mobile, etc. and then the other half of that time is spent explaining why there's not enough scale to make campaigns like this actionable. The amount of time and creative effort on the agency side and on your side and on the client side to reach some percentage of the million downloads you have makes it challenging to have the conversation. So talk about the chicken and the egg there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the interesting thing that we stumbled upon, because a lot of friction is removed because of the really simple idea. It's people unlocking stickers, and those check-ins propagate to Facebook and Twitter. So the quick answer to friction is zero tech. There's no tech. It's all creative. You design the badges. People want them. People check in. They unlock them, and that's it. I mean, I think that really, if you embark on something that requires a lot of custom tech, that's going to be a lot of friction.
I'll, in the interest of full time for your last competitor, allow you to get to it.
Thank you. All right, Nikhil, tell us all about Adaptly.
Thank you. So Adaptly is the easiest way to advertise across the social web by enabling agencies and brands to efficiently and at scale buy across social. So I want to leave you with three main ideas today. The first idea being reach. As each of these platforms emerge and begin to acquire 10, 20, 50 to 100 million users, they begin to think to themselves, how do they capitalize on this user base? And by doing so, they basically are the beginning of the evolution of display into what we call today social ads. Social ads being the combination of the experience of these sites and the purpose of why people go to these sites with consistent brand messaging. And ultimately what we end up with is a landscape with 100 million user bubbles of users all over the place on these platforms all over the world with unique ways to buy and totally unique social ad units. And this creates a very complex network and fragmented way for agencies and brands to effectively spend their capital across the social web. So Adaptly is this layer of technology that sits between the networks and the agencies, allowing them to efficiently buy social from one consolidated place. The second point being scale. Each of these platforms are very, very young and very, very immature. And as being such, they've designed their self-serve ad platforms on a unit-by-unit level. So when you come to these places, there's very high overhead and a lot of complexity to actually create a campaign, which ends up with a lot of labor and 150 hours or more to manage, create, and manipulate these campaigns. Adaptly sits in between and has really spent the past year building infrastructure and pipeline between these platforms to enable agencies to quickly and at scale buy across these systems. And the third idea being auto-optimization. As these platforms get more and more complex and create more and more unique functionality, such as promoted tweets, Facebook-like units, and stumbles on StumbleUpon, you basically get a very complex enterprise platform. And the way that we've kind of solved this problem is to take away that complexity underneath the hood and create intelligent algorithms and systems that can buy this media for you very, very quickly. So without further ado, the Verizon iPad recently launched, and we'd love to just run through a very simple demo of the application, performing a $500,000 media buy across about 5 different platforms. So we'll quickly come in and begin to log into the platform. And the first thing you'll notice is basically the simplicity and the layout of the dashboard itself. We basically showcase campaigns on the left side, and we'll quickly jump in to create a brand new campaign. The first thing, 2 things we ask are, what are you advertising? In this case, Verizon iPads. And who are we trying to reach? In this case, people who have AT&T. We use this information to mine targeting and also create interest buckets. We go into some general geographic information and some location information, and also jump into interests. And this area is interesting because we take synonyms and antonyms of this information to create multiple targeting campaigns. So for every campaign you create, you're actually running 10 to 20 different campaigns in parallel. We run into the titles and bodies and creative creation process, where we can basically create as many titles and bodies and URLs as we want, and the system will basically permutate all of these options and create not just 1 or 2 ad units, or 5 or 10 even, but hundreds and hundreds to thousands and thousands of ad units that can be tested in one very global A/B test. The next phase we'll get into is actual creative generation, and for this process we've created a very dynamic image generator where we can put in any keyword, set of keywords, and on the fly continuously create new creative to avoid the problem of saturation. As a lot of users see the same ads again and again on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and StumbleUpon, they basically get inundated with non-consistent media. And here we've created an ad approval system which allows a unique URL to be passed to the client themselves to go into the hundreds and hundreds of ad units, disapprove creative that they are not interested in, and also generate many, many different types of variations, from borders to color variation to edges and overlays on top of their media, again, to create many, many different types of variations. And continually test to determine who is the best segment, what are the correct media to run. Here we basically see a simple 2 or 3 ad units turn into about 108, or 89 after disapproval. And we get to the network selection page, where essentially we're now able to choose across all different platforms that we support, from LinkedIn, Facebook, StumbleUpon, AdMob, MySpace, and deploy through their paid media channels a very consistent and streamlined campaign. So effectively, in about 2 minutes, we've deployed about 7 campaigns consisting of over 5,000 ad units across most of the entire social web, which represents about 1.5 billion uniques globally, and effectively done that with very little time. So the quick kind of numbers and results from this campaign is we end up exposing, again, this 1 to 1.5 billion uniques across these platforms, and at a very, very short amount of time, within 24 hours, if necessary, can achieve billions and billions of impressions across these platforms, in the millions and millions of clicks, and also acquire upwards of millions of fans, and also focus, when you get more into it, the analytics system, the unique social metrics that are part of each of these platforms, right? You know, the great thing, and the real kind of place where we view the innovation on this side, is that display and social ads are not apples to apples. Social ads are really the next generation of display by incorporating these social experiences and the unique sort of abilities that these sites have represented. For example, from retweeting and replying on Twitter to liking stuff on Facebook and stumbling across new content in StumbleUpon. And these different unique sort of social metrics are what we need to optimize against. And by extrapolating and creating a system that allows you to buy media just like you would display, you can incorporate a lot of these very complex nuances in social platforms through a single sort of destination. And that's Adaptly.
All right, time for questions.
I presume that in addition to having the platform generate creative, is it simple enough to upload multiple versions of original creative?
Yeah, so the same way that we just did generate, if you upload even a single ad unit, it'll go through a host of creative manipulation and end up with thousands of ad units as a result. That being said, you can also run one ad unit if you choose to do so.
And so how quick does the system react? Because I would assume if you're going across, you know, the 8 publishers you had
Sure.
up there, and it was a little odd that AdMob was up there. That was
Yes.
the one thing that didn't seem like the others. But how quickly are you going to come back and say, look, performance is, you know, heavy on Stumble, and
Sure.
you know, Twitter's not working, and LinkedIn is like way off your audience?
Yeah, so there's two parts to that question. The first thing is the way that we actually view a social platform and one of these publishers is not necessarily by the social network definition, but it's around 2 key criteria. One is that it's first-party data, so none of these publishers are utilizing cookie tracking or any sort of third-party information, and that gives the agency the ability to target at a very, very accurate level from volunteered information. And the second piece is that the ad units themselves are not any sort of standardized IAB unit. This is very customized ad units fitting the social experience of the site itself. To get to your question, really what we're doing is building a very heavy backend that's basically a big attribution model that looks across all these platforms. And just as you saw in the demo, I did 70K across every platform. That gets remanipulated and adjusted based on performance. So whether we're optimizing for clicks or we're optimizing for actual actions, some sort of fan result or a follower, spend will be readjusted based on what platforms are performing the best.
So I guess I was a little unclear about it's purely dropping in the ads across all these networks.
Yes.
And then iterating on daily basis. But I was a little unclear about targeting within each of those.
Sure.
With 500 different networks.
Sure. So, you know, really a big piece of it is how do you normalize all these different nuances, not just from the ad creative, but actually the targeting aspect itself. So what we've really done is you know, really spent the last year building infrastructure to take all the targeting information that's available from the first-party sites and figure out how that kind of maps across the entire social web as a whole. And that being said, you can do, just like you would do interest targeting on Facebook, you can do that across our entire network. And that lets you do, again, intelligently target, you know, down to niche units of 5 people or so in different cities all across the world.
Great, thanks.
Our judges are going to spend a minute or two or more, if they need it, conferring. I want to invite Sarah, Joe, and Alex back on stage with Nikhil. And now, as the judges huddle, our audience can ask some questions. I'm sure you guys have been have burning questions that you want to ask of these ladies and gentlemen on stage. If not, I will have to hit them up with more questions. Anyone want to raise a hand? So I'm going to start. So Alex, do you feel at all that you compete with Twitter?
Well, I think that all social things compete for attention with each other to a certain extent. I mean, I think we're super complementary to Twitter, which is sort of aggregates all the conversations. And I think if you look closely at what GetGlue is doing, it's helping amplify the social conversations. So if you look at infographic that we released today, you'll see that some pretty interesting numbers, for certain shows, we're responsible for major percentage of tweets that are happening. So, for example, finale of Californication was 10% of tweets, Breakout Kings 15%. So I think we're not really competing, but more like complementing and amplifying.
I know you'd have one.
Hi. So I have a question for Joe. I know that you've talked about with Klout integrating other sources like blogs, but with the people themselves, are you going to integrate their other Twitters? Because I know like Rick, he has a couple of accounts.
So multiple Twitter accounts to one, married up to one person is on the roadmap and something we hope to get to in the next few months.
Other questions from the audience? Anyone else want to grab a chance to ask a question? I have a question about just influencers. I guess this is kind of for you, Sarah. I think that there are a lot of bets on sort of individuals. It could be like a Kim Kardashian type of individual who's very influential at spreading the word. Is that risky at all, or is that kind of the way it's always been done?
Well, I think influencers have always played a role in moving a brand's business or a brand's message, but different people are influencers for different things. And so it's hard to just go find the right person based on what they might be twittering about, because you actually need someone to have a passion, not just for a subject, but for your brand to be, important for you in passing the message along. So I totally think that paying attention to who the influencers are and how they can help you is a big key to unlocking the secret of these programs.
All right, we have a decision. Judges, why don't you come over here so the audience can see you? Tell us a little bit about why you picked whoever you picked to receive this beautiful award.
I think our final decision was unanimous, but not simple. It was that we went with the company we think probably has the best chance to be uniquely successful, I guess is maybe the best way to put it, and that would be Klout. So that may be, despite your own best efforts, that you'll be uniquely successful. Because we think there's a lot of opportunity for you all to continue to exploit the unique position that you're in. Liked what Adaptly does in terms of that reach across all those networks, but there is a voice of reason among our judges who suggested that the approval process for as many as hundreds of social networks may be a pretty uphill battle to get through on a routine basis for advertising agencies and the like. The widgets are great. Like the genome, I like the genome a lot. The concern I have is differentiation, though I think that's a nice little bit that you've got there in terms of visualization, so that's good. But there's a lot of widgets running around. And I think we're all GetGlue people, but we can't help wondering how sticky the glue is. Though we like it, we just wonder how long it's going to stay sticky. So, and that's a challenge, obviously, for all social networks and where they go. So we went with Klout.
Marshall, Mark, you guys want to weigh in with final thoughts on Klout or any of the others?
I think all the businesses are interesting, and again, I think there's I've said this I think 3 times today. There's infinite dollars available to do interesting things, and the question is, if you need to spend $100 million in a month, can you afford to spend it in $500,000 chunks? And the answer is usually no, because it takes too many people. And I think, the scale across the social media platforms is awesome. I think for big brands, though, having hundreds of creative formats out there is not a realistic goal when you think about if you've ever tried to sell one piece of creative through the thousands of people that need to approve it. So, but there is no scale across all those platforms, so I think it's a good solution. But anyway.
Marshall, I'll let you wrap this up. You cover so many venture-funded companies. What are your kind of final thoughts on this group and why you picked Klout?
Well, I did pick Klout despite my objections. I'd want to spend some more time looking at the criteria. It's such an interesting double-sided coin, where I do think that it feels mysterious, it feels frustrating, and yet it's clearly so useful. And there's such a need with 100 million users on Twitter alone to quantify and segment and target and what have you. I'm a real happy GetGlue user myself, but from a business perspective, long term, I bought the arguments that Klout was the strongest candidate.
I want to thank you, David, Mark, and Marshall, all of my other judges, Jim Nichols, who weighed in on some of the other sessions, Kathleen Ryan at MEA Digital. I just couldn't do this without them. They have been the true brain power. I have merely done the logistics. And, of course, thank you all to the companies for being here, spending time. Everyone is essentially a finalist. Klout, thank you for winning. And audiences, thank you for sticking around. I know that, as a conference programmer, it just delights me to see so many people here at the end of the second day. So thank you so much. That's a testament to you guys.